What is up everyone, and welcome to a little bit of a fun experimental type video. We're going to fiddle around with these two 12-inch speakers that I've had hanging around for ages. Can't remember where I got either of them. I really have no idea, but they've been sitting upstairs for ages gathering dust. Actually, you can actually see dust on them. Totally gathering dust, and the thing is, at the moment I've got a cold and I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. So I wanted to do something fun for today's video, and it's a horrible day outside and whatnot, so what I'm going to do is hook these up and see what they do. Now I've got this as well. Actually, I'll talk about all the gear that I've got here after we roll the intro, because I'm probably going to talk for quite a while. So I've got these two woofers. I don't know anything about them at the moment. We will talk about each speaker in detail. Probably this one we will take a look at a little bit more, because I don't mind if this one gets damaged. I mind if this one gets damaged, and I'll explain why later, after one of my recent discoveries then, let's put it like that. Anyway, we've got this power amp. This is an IMG stage line power amp. It's advertised as a 500 watt power amp, so I assume it only probably gives out about 150 watts at 8 ohm, or maybe even less than that, per channel. It is not in the best condition. I believe this is Jack's amp. I don't think it's mine, but we will, I'm sure if he sees this video he will tell me who belongs to it, but he probably doesn't remember either, to be honest. It's got a hardwired power cable, which is a very, very bad design in my opinion. I hate hardwired amplifiers, unless they're really, really high end, obviously, and then they'll be staying in a rack. But for something this low end, I just really want to see a kettle lead on here, because when you pick this amp up, naturally it bends the cable, and this has had to be repaired twice now, and it's not even an amp that we use all the time or anything. It's got your various inputs, speak-on only output, so we're actually going to butcher up a little bit of a speak-on cable to get this happening. But yeah, that's the only PA grade amplifier that I have here, apart from my amp rack. I do have my amp rack that I've recently built. If you guys are interested in taking a look at that, I do have a 3 or 4 part PA series on it. It's sitting on my channel. I may link it in the description. But yeah, I'm just going to use this amp because I can't be bothered to carry my rack upstairs. Like I said, I'm not feeling too well. I am actually going to hook this up. This is a DBX crossover. The reason I'm going to hook this up is because it'll allow me to control the frequencies that are going to the woofers, so that I can actually hear, so they're just not playing full range. I want to actually hear them at sort of 100 hertz and below to see what they sound like and stuff, so that'll let me control the frequencies. And in here, I have my small Yamaha mixer that'll obviously let us control a little bit of EQ and input-output, which is necessary. I also have over here a speak-on cable. I'm going to unscrew one end so that we can hook it up to the speakers, and that is pretty much it. So guys, I'll show you my signal path. I've basically got iTunes playing with a trance playlist. I'm coming out of my sound card, out of the headphone output, into my mixer here, as you can see there, and you can see I've got signal on the mixer if I turn up like that. Then of course I'm only fiddling around with one speaker, so I've got one output there. So that's left out, going out of the mixer into the back of the DBX, right there. And I've actually got it on mono mode, which will allow us to fiddle around a little more with the settings, because I'm going to try the woofers in both mid and low. It's in low at the moment. It's in the low output, so it goes out of the low output into channel A of the amplifier. The amplifier is bridged, and it is going out of the bridge output, which is the center one there. I've bridged up the amp because the amp has basically got no grunt to it whatsoever from what I can remember. So yeah, we should be pretty happy. As you can see there, it says bridged. Okay, so you can see it's bridge is selected. All I need to do now, and I'm quite out of breath guys, I'm not very well at all, but I'm looking forward to doing this. All I need to do now is strip away at this speak-on connector so that we can directly connect to the speakers. Now the first speaker we're going to take a look at is this guy, and I will bring up Google and some specs and stuff to see what is happening. I'll bring up specs for the amplifier and the woofers. So this sub is a Tornado STW125, and if I can turn it around effectively, it's quite heavy. Actually, I'd say it's sort of medium weight for a 12-inch. STW125. It actually says on the back, deep bass subwoofer. So this is looking like a bit of a naff sub. I've been able to find barely anything about it online, only one picture, so I've no idea where it's come from or whatever. But apparently it's 300 watts. I don't believe that for a second. That must be peak or something, but just looking at this, sitting on my stool, as you guys can see, quite entertainingly, there is, my stool is about a 12-inch top, which is cool. But anyway, I'm going to attach my newly stripped off, where the heck's the end? Here we are. I'm going to attach my speak-on cable to it, or what's left of my speak-on cable, and we are going to crank it and see how it sounds. It's meant to be deep bass. Obviously it's not in an enclosure, so this really isn't a sound test. It's more of just looking at the speakers and seeing what they can do. And if it's terrible, and if we can rip through this thing, then that would be really entertaining on the video, but I doubt we will with this amplifier. I'm actually going to turn that off while I'm fiddling with the cables. So yeah, there we go. Right then guys, iTunes is playing. Let's get some volume through the mixer. Just a nice trickle for now. And let's see what this speaker does. Okay. This knob on the amp is very dodgy. I gotta be careful here. Actually, doesn't appear to be working at all, guys. Hang on. Alright guys, we are currently winning. I think the song just ended or something. Anyway, right, here we go. As you can see and hear, we've got this fully up and running. Now if we sweep the crossover point up a little, you can actually hear the track. That's not going to do anything. So it's not actually that loud at the moment. The amp is only halfway up and the woofer's already making some strange noises. Now this is a very dodgy pot, so it would probably be hard to get it to play up here. If I can just, you got to be so gentle with it. There we go. If I begin to turn it up there, you can hear it makes a weird scratchy noise. Now if I pull the crossover point right down to 45 Hertz, this speaker is actually giving us some kind of audible low end at around 45 Hertz. Now I'm pushing that quite a lot, and as you can see the amp is not clipping. But the speaker is complaining quite a bit. And it's shaking my stool. Whoa. Okay, so if I turn the crossover point up again, you can see we're in a breakdown a little bit here without the beat. Okay, now if I quickly swap over to the, hang on a second, where are we here guys? The mid frequency. Let's plug this into mid frequency and you will be able to hear a massive difference. Hopefully, if we can get it to, hang on a second guys. There we go. So, this is just mid, so you can hear a massive difference. And we can push this speaker a lot more. If I actually go to a part with, this is an actual beat guys. Okay, so you can see how much we're actually sending to the crossover. We're actually sending a lot of signal to the crossover. Now, interestingly enough, it starts making the same scratchy noise there when you just turn up the crossover point a little. Because that is a lot of high end for it to try and reproduce. Okay, so if we turn the amp down, turn the mixer back down, plug back into the low end, if I can find it. Oh, sorry about the bad camera work, guys, hang on. There we go. Okay, so we're back in the low end. We turn it up a little bit, see where we get with this. Come on. There we go. If I turn the crossover point right down, let's turn it down to say, hang on a sec guys, I'm trying to read this. That currently is at, okay, hang on, let's turn it up to 140 hertz. So everything you can hear now is 140 hertz and below. And it doesn't love it, does it? Just can hear a bit more of the track. Turn it up. So this is nearly at 1 kilohertz, guys. This is 960 hertz, so you can tell how much mid-range we're sending to this speaker now. It does start to complain. Let's try it with a different track, even though they're all pretty much the same. That scratchy noise really is something. That's about as much as that woofer can take, I think, guys. Right, let's power that down and let's give the other one a go, because the other one is actually of much more interest to me because of the speaker that it actually is. I will show you guys in a second. So here we have woofer number 2, guys, and there is a very interesting story behind this model of speaker, and a big coincidence actually. I've had this hanging around for years and years. Hang on a second, I gotta sneeze. Ah, bless me, guys, do excuse me. Sorry, anyway, I've had this hanging around for years and years, but as you guys know, I own a pair of Wharfdale, whatever they're called, 12-inch tops, in-store top speakers. And when I opened them up to put the handles in, I discovered that the original decent, half-decent Wharfdale woofers had been removed, and they'd been replaced by these. These are Skytronic 12-inch woofers. Can't remember the exact model number, but I'll put it in the description if it's important at all. It's not really important. But yeah, if anyone is familiar with Skytronic, they are basically a very cheap brand of speaker, and you often find them in big eBay listings where you can get, you know, 6 billion watt subwoofers for, you know, 20 quid or whatever. And it's a bit of a shame, but unlike Skytech, Skytronic actually do make a few better models, and this woofer isn't half bad. And the woofers in my 12-inch speakers, there's no low end in them whatsoever, but if you use them with subs, they're absolutely fine. But I am desperate to retire those Wharfdale tops as my main speakers and use them as wedges, because they can take a beating, but the quality of the woofer is just not good enough. So it turns out all along that I have a spare for them, so I don't want to blow this one up at all. I'm going to be keeping this as a spare just in case one of those blows when I'm using it as monitor duty. But let's take a little listen. And maybe on the camera, you'll be able to tell an instant difference, and that is the quality of the bass is much, much clearer. If I turn it down to 45 hertz, which is where the other one kind of reproduced bass, this one actually, you can hear the bass notes. Now that rattle that you can hear isn't like the sort of crusty rattle of the other one, that's just the stool shaking. So that's 45 hertz crossover point, guys. Let's put it up to halfway, around 240, we'll hear a bit of the track. guys, so we're actually going into clipping. And the woofer is nearly falling off the stool. There we go. Oh no. Oh, no way. No way. Guys, I've just killed it. Ah, thank God. The connection's pinged loose. Excellent. Let me get that reconnected, guys. Alright, guys. I'm actually not getting any action out of this woofer even. Oh, there we go. Just really dodgy amp. There we go. So they can take a beating, but they're definitely not low-end sub-type speakers. If I switch it over to the mid-range, over here, which is how I use mine, I can't believe I've got Skytronic drivers, guys. Anyway, yeah, switch it over to the mid-range and they'll go all night. So yeah, this amp is nowhere near powerful enough to run these. I've got it bridged up, so I assume that it's 500 watts bridged at 4 ohms. This is an 8 ohm woofer, so that's 250 watts right there. Factor in the fact that you're talking maybe, I don't know, this has probably lost about 100 watts because it's faulty. I have no idea, maybe even 150. It's not giving out hardly anything anyway. And this is rated at 150 RMS, 300 max. So at least they've got a true reading on the back, even though the max reading is kind of pointless. I believe I'm giving mine in my Wharfdales around 400 watts. I think maybe around 360, 400 watts, something like that. And they don't complain at all. Not as far as I know anyway. Yeah, I don't want to clip it too much, guys, just in case. But it runs mids happily. Very, very happily. So it's definitely handy to keep as a spare, for sure. But yes. Very interesting, guys. I'm glad we hooked up the crossover because it's made this infinitely more interesting. Basically, I got ripped off with my Wharfdales, and instead of changing the drivers in them, you know, trying to get my hands on some Wharfdale speakers or putting JBLs or something like that in there, or Eminent speakers or something like that, I'm just going to change the entire cabinet. So I'm on the lookout for some cheap EV-ELX 12-inch passive cabinets. If anyone's still watching the video at this point, then you're probably audio people, so if anyone sees a good deal, then let me know. But yeah, this has been something. I was gutted when I saw that I had Skytronic woofers in my Wharfdales, which I paid decent money for. It means that they've gone from being worth around 250, 300 for the pair to being worth about £80 for the pair. The cabinets are still really nice. They're the highest end install speakers that Wharfdale make, not their low end cheap crap. I have no idea what the tweeters in them are. I didn't want to look, but the high end sounds absolutely fine. And apologies for me blowing my nose in the background, guys. I am getting pretty ill now. Let's give it the full scope of the mid-range once more, just to have a little listen. Yeah, that is painfully loud. That is crazy. You won't be able to hear the volume on the camera, guys, because these cameras have got like built-in compression. That's the bad thing about filming this kind of thing. You've got to be here in person to really hear it, but it's not really anything impressive to hear. It's just, oh, look at that, I got a bit of tissue on the end of my finger. Isn't that horrible, guys? At this point, I don't care. You guys are hopefully enjoying the entertainment. Another thing is as well, it's giving the speaker a nice bit of a dusting, which is nice. Always handy. So let's hear it come back in. It's amazing how quickly you can hit clipping when you just give it like a little bit more of the mid-range. Hopefully YouTube's copyright detection won't pick up on this. Better change track quickly just in case it's getting the idea of what the track is. But yeah, let's have one more go in the low end output then, guys, because we know that's fun, and we will go from there. So low end, let's hear it. Big difference straight away. These are not subwoofers, you know, they're not designed for bass bins. Obviously they're subwoofers, but got to be careful there, guys. I don't want to destroy this. Anyway, that is us pretty much done with that little experiment, guys. It's been good fun to do that. Let me just show you the back of this speaker. So here we have it, big old magnet. I don't think it's the exact same model that's in my Wharfdales. This is the 902.222. It is, let's have a look. Yeah, 8 ohms, 150 RMS, and 300 peak. So that is definitely something, guys. 12-inch woofer. I'm a very big fan of 12-inch subwoofers and 12-inch bass bins as long as they're good. I'm a massive fan of the DB Technologies Arena subs, the active ones. I haven't heard their passive subs for a long time now, but I'm a fan of the active ones. There's my speak-on cable back. I'll have to remember to put that back together. Yeah, but I'm a fan of those 12-inch subs, and of course the biggest rig that I use portably on the road is the KV2 audio rig, which we've got a few dual 12-inch bass bins, and it's amazing some of the really good high-end speakers that are coming out now, that are, some of the high-end 12s that are coming out, of how low they can actually go. Obviously this is cheap crap in comparison, and that thing down there is even worse, but still interesting to take a look at them. They've been sitting around upstairs for ages and I wanted to take a look at them. This amp is toast. I don't know why I'm still keeping it, but it's very entertaining, I think is a good word to use, so we'll stick around with it. This DBX crossover isn't currently in use in a system. I've got a Tannoy speaker management system in my actual amp rack, which is a lot nicer. This has a lot more control, but the Tannoy sounds nicer and it's of higher quality. And this Yamaha mixer is my little mixer that I have. I used to have a Behringer mixer, which had one less stereo channel, but it had built-in effects and stuff. I prefer the Yamaha because it gives you one-touch compressors, which are here, sorry, they're the gains. One-touch compressors, which are really handy if you're giving the mic to someone to speak at a gig or whatever. I'd only use this for very, very, very small gigs, just playback really, you know, disco gigs or whatever if I was providing the PA. I've only actually used this out live once, but it's also handy if you've got a slow digital desk like I have. I've got the Phonic Summit. It's really handy to use with that because it's so slow at booting up, and that at least you can get some house music. I'd always run the house music off this, plus that's limited to 16 channels, so run music off of here and then run the desk into a couple of mono channels or whatever. But yeah, I'm that's totally by the by, and I'm ranting on now, and my brain is starting to go, guys, because I'm not very well. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I would do a little outro clip filming myself, giving a little explanation of the outcome, but to be perfectly honest, I am feeling rough as anything, so I'm going to go, guys. I hope you enjoy your weekend. It's been a fun little video, week of videos. This little audio one to finish off. Hope you've enjoyed. I know there's a couple of people that definitely enjoy this. So yeah, have a great weekend, everyone, and I will see you all next week.